The following presentation is brought to you by the Alberta Podcast Network. Welcome to the Northern Nerdcast, the podcast that showcases the geeky, nerdy people, groups, and events in and around the city of Edmonton. Northern Nerdcast is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. Visit their website at albertapodcastnetwork.com. If you like the show, we invite you to share it on all of your social media platforms and help grow our community of geeky, nerdy people, groups, and events in and around the city of Edmonton. Would you like to be a contributor to the show? For more information, visit our website at northernnerdnetwork.com. And now, here's the host of the show, Dan Schessel.
All right. Welcome, everyone out there. Welcome to another edition of the Nerdcast. My name is Dan Schessel, and of course, on the show today, we have none other than our loveliest of co-hosts, Chelsea Thompson.
Oh, shucks. Hi, guys.
And on today's show, we also have Matt. I don't know how to say your last name, Matt. Schuurman?
Yeah, Matt Schuurman. Yeah, you nailed it.
There. See?
Woohoo!
And that's right off the cuff, right there.
You're on fire with last names these last couple of weeks.
I know. I'm pretty good at botching last names. So we got Matt here, and he's from Rapid Fire Theater. And so we're going to talk a lot about Rapid Fire Theater, about improv, all that kind of fun stuff a little bit later on in the show. But first off, we'd like to ask everybody on our show how their week was. So we're going to start with our guest here. Hey, Matt, how was your week?
Well, it ties right into the topic of the day. I spent the whole last week participating, or rather hosting, the
Ooh, Matt, your audio is really cutting in and out. Maybe you just turn your camera off. That may correct it. So we're gonna go. We'll pass it off to Chelsea for the time being here. Chelsea, how was your week?
My week was pretty good. Yeah, I worked a little bit for the school board and did a bunch of erranding and choring at home, and finally got sort of a good chunk of the last little space in our new house set up and things. When we moved in, we have a space that's clearly meant to be a separate dining room space, but because we're not super fancy and don't own dining room set with the buffet and whatnot, not that fancy, we've set it up an office, and we've got some musical instruments. We've got a keyboard, and we've got a ukulele and a guitar. So we're going to set that up as an office and a little music room space, which is really nice. So I spent some time scouring Craigslist and going and finding all the deals and putting together desks. And so, yeah, cool. It's good. And then the house is almost all set up now, which is really good.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
We're going to try back at Matt. Matt, how was your week?
Yeah, it was great. It ties to the topic of what we're talking about, in that I spent every night this week hosting the Nose Bowl Theater Sports Tournament, which is a competition we put on for high school students at Rapid Fire Theater. And yeah, so Tuesday to Saturday, I was hosting that tournament with improv teams from high schools from all across Alberta.
Awesome.
Very nice. For myself, I guess, I just binged watched a show that's on Netflix here that came on, Altered Carbon. Have you heard about this show?
Mm-hmm. It was shot in Vancouver.
Yeah,
it was shot in Vancouver.
That's correct.
I had to as soon as I started watching it, I'm like, oh, I can't stop. This is it was very good. I see. I'm a sucker for that vision of the future. I guess. I love Blade Runner.
I was just gonna say, very Blade Runner-esque.
It's very Blade Runner-esque, and so when I started watching it, I'm like, oh yeah, I like it. It was a great show. I watched it from beginning to end in about 3 days, I would like to say. Yeah, in between that and playing what's it called? Elite Dangerous. I was doing some really boring missions, so I was just putting that on autopilot and watching Altered Carbon on the other channel. Aside from that, I've been watching it because there's this thing that's on right now. It's called the Olympics. I don't know. Have you heard about this, Chelsea?
The can you pronounce that again for me? I'm slightly unfamiliar. That Latin, Greek.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it comes from. No,
yeah, I don't know. With the changes with the time zone, I haven't really been watching any of it, and we don't have regular cable, so it's not like I can just turn on CBC and have them do the time switch for me and play things at a reasonable hour. So I didn't watch the ceremonies. I haven't seen any of the events yet. I'm really fallen down on the Olympics train this year.
Oof. Well, the Olympics, okay, I'm gonna have to say at the beginning here, what a spectacle the Olympics has become. I mean, they've always been a spectacle, but I mean, it's getting out of hand. The opening ceremonies were incredibly long, amazing, some of the stuff that they did. But oh my goodness, the whole production of just the opening ceremonies alone was just insane.
I heard there was a bunch of drones.
There was some drones in there. Now they had this thing where at one point they had over top of the mountain, they had all these skiers come down and they had these drones come up and they formed a silhouette of a snowboarder. They cool. all have lights on these drones and they make different shapes. At one point they made the rings, the Olympic rings. It's incredible. They're just showing off the amount of technology that they have that they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
In Korea. And so using the drones was an incredible way of doing that. I mean, just the flying formations and all the different things that they were able to pull off with those drones are incredible. So that was quite something to see. I did only just watch a lot of the highlights because Trina was watching them, the opening ceremonies while I was downstairs playing board games with my brother and a few of my friends. So she did show me the highlights. So that was one of the highlights. Really, really incredible. Cool. The other thing I managed to get done this week was I finally got around to fully updating the event calendar. I know there's still a few events. There's a lot
rolling in that need to be added.
That still need to be added. But I want to thank everybody out there on Twitter and Facebook and wherever for sending your suggestions into the Northern Nerd Network to be put onto the calendar. That is such a great.
Thank you.
Yes, please. If you guys ever see any events or hear of an event that you'd like to see put onto our calendar, or you have an event or whatever, please let us know. We will be more than gladly. That's words. Good for you. We would be more than glad to put those up on our calendar.
And we do not discriminate. No event is too big or too small. We will happily put it on there for you anywhere geeks and nerds congregate. We want to let the people know about that.
Yes. So we are, I finally got around to getting a lot of that done. So go on over to northernnerdnetwork.com/event calendars and then event calendars. You'll find it all there on our website.
Mm.
Yeah. So that is pretty much it for our beginning section. Whew, I am burning hot in this room today. For being so cold today, I think it was minus 26 here. It was ridiculous.
And it has nothing to do with the Wookiee that you're wearing on the inside of your
coat. No, it's that in a small room, and my computer is just 900 degrees.
Well, and your 50 million screen setup that you have in your tiny little space.
Yes, there's a few There's a lot going on in this room.
How many screens are you at now? 3?
Just 3. 3 very large screens. It's only 43 inches, the big one. Nothing too big.
You're going to get a tan.
Yeah.
Yes.
I try to work on that before the summer comes because
you got to build your base, otherwise,
yeah, yeah,
it's gonna
exactly.
burn, right?
Tomato.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Aaron said you are especially lovely this evening, Chelsea.
Oh, thanks, Aaron.
And for the folks out there who are listening to the show, we do have a live version of this podcast that you guys can be tuning into
and watching us with your eyeballs.
Yes, watching us with your eyeballs every week here on Sunday nights at 8:00. So you guys can come join us and see our lovely faces and see some of the shenanigans that happen.
You can have that like weird radio moment where if you've just been listening to the audio podcast where you tune in and you can totally see that our voices don't match our faces at all. And you're like, oh my God, what's happening? It'll be
and then never tune in again. All right. So yes, we are going to talk to Matt today about Rapid Fire Theater. But first, we're going to take a quick break, and we will get back to our chat.
Fun music today. So, the Northern Nerdcast is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATV. One of the great things about being in this network is having a sponsor like ATV behind us. One of the things that makes ATV so great is their initiative, ATV Listen. It's part of the reason why they're such a great fit for us as a show. Because ATV Listens is just that. They're listening to everyday Albertans, finding better ways to make things like banking better for you. They've got the Samsung Pay, the no-fee all-in digital account, and so many other ways that ATV is making things better. Head on over to ATV.com/listen. You can find out more about how ATV is listening to Alberta. That's ATV.com/listen.
Okay, so like I said, we are talking about Rapid Fire Theater tonight. But Chelsea, my phone is going to die here. So can you take a few of the first questions here, and I got to go and get a plug?
Yeah, sure. So for those who maybe have been living under a rock or are new to Edmonton and don't quite understand the institution that is Rapid Fire Theater in Edmonton, can you tell our listeners and viewers a little bit out there what it is, when it started, how long it's been around?
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be my pleasure. I'm very humbled that you would call it an institution. That's certainly
Totally.
not it's not really what we think of ourselves as. But we are Edmonton's longest running improv theater company. We are now in our 37th consecutive season of producing improv shows in the city of Edmonton. And we perform about 5 shows every week at the Rapid Fire Theater at the Citadel Theater in downtown Edmonton.
Nice. And now, if I remember correctly, before the terrible incident at the Varscona, that was your guys' home, right?
Yeah. Well, you might be confusing your theaters.
It was Roxy Theater that burned down. The Varscona is just getting a brand new.
That's right. Yeah.
New.
For the longest time, we called the Varscona Theater our home, just off White Avenue. And yes, it was the Roxy Theater that burned down a few years ago.
That was
100. Yes, that was truly awful. And a lot of connections between Rapid Fire Theater and Theater Network that was out of the Roxy Theater. But yeah, for the longest time, we were out of the Varscona Theater. White Ave. We shared that space with a number of other theater companies. But that theater was recently renovated into a gorgeous new facility, and while the building was being torn down and renovated into the wonderful facility it is now, we moved over to the Citadel Theater in downtown, where our programming just exploded. We were doing about 7 shows a month back at the Barcelona Theater, and now we're between 20 and 30 shows a month. So, so we're sticking around downtown Edmonton and doing stuff at the Citadel.
Nice.
And
Which is also a great space to be in. The Citadel runs great venues. So
absolutely, it's a very cool complex.
Awesome. So now in the Citadel Theater, what theater are you guys in?
Right. So our home venue is called Ziedler Hall. It's a movie theater. Fully functioning movie theater. Used to be the home of Metro Cinema before they moved to the Garneau Theater. So that's where we do the majority of our programming. And a couple times a year, we expand out of there into another venue, or in fact, other venues in the building. During our big international festival, we go into the club, which is just across the hall from us. It's a cabaret type space. And we sometimes even use the big theaters in the building as well.
Nice. So, improv, for those out there watching and listening who hear theater and think like stuffy Shakespeare, which, for the record, I don't think Shakespeare is stuffy, but who think stuffy Shakespeare, what is improv and how is it different? And why should people come and watch it?
Well, first, improv, it's unscripted theater, so it's spontaneous. It's made up on the spot, off the top of your head. A lot of the time it'll be based on suggestions from the audience. So it's kind of a spectator sport of theater. I think there's two ways of looking at improv as an audience member. One is, you could say it's the most relevant, the most adaptable, the most immediate form of theater because it changes in the moment and can be sensitive to anything. Or it's just a bunch of people messing around making dumb fart jokes. So, or perhaps it lies somewhere in between there.
Hey man, never underestimate the power of a good fart joke.
No, sir. Yeah, you're very, very correct on that. Why should someone go see improv? Well, it's because it's fun. We do a whole bunch of different types of shows, and I think what's so exciting about improv, especially for the audience, is that it truly exists in that moment and nowhere else. Which
no
could be
two
said
shows
for,
will ever be the same, right?
Exactly. Which could be said for any type of live performance, but I think more so for improv because every single element of the show will change from show to show, week to week, day to day. Yeah.
So let me ask you.
Sorry, you're part of something that's created in the moment, and you can talk about it, but you had to have been there to see it.
Yeah, exactly. So let me ask you, what is the drawing factor for yourself? Like, why did you choose to get into improv?
Sorry, you cut out?
Why did you choose to get into improv specifically?
Right. Well, earlier I mentioned the theater sports tournament, which we just finished up this week, and I participated in that same tournament as a high school student. That was kind of my first exposure to improv, and certainly improv in the city of Edmonton. There's a lot of fantastic theory on the benefits of improv. The kind of pillars of improv, of doing good improv, are collaborating, listening, accepting, and being positive, which are all just really good life skills to learn as well, let alone strong performance tactics. So there's so many benefits to improv. I got involved again as a teen, and there's just so much excitement around it. And you meet really cool people, really, really positive people, and become part of something bigger.
Very neat. So give us the rundown. You mentioned that Theater Sports runs 5 nights a week and has a number of different shows. So give us the rundown. What is the smorgasbord that the people of Edmonton have to choose from in your comedy offerings?
Right. So, well, it's Rapid Fire Theater is the company we produce, about 5 shows a week. Theater Sports is a specific show format that we do. And that is how our company got started. It used to be the only show that we produced. It's a format that's performed all over the world. And we are one of the longest running producers of the show. And we still do that show every single Friday night at 7:30 and 10 o'clock. And what that is it's a competitive improv show, a team-on-team improv. It's roughly based on professional wrestling. Kind of, again, going back to that spectator sport idea of theater where the audience is engaged, they can shout things, they can yell things, they can be part of this live element of the performance.
Occasionally, there are some games that require volunteers from the audience to get up on stage.
Absolutely. Yeah? It's entirely possible that we'll ask for audience members to come up or pull people on stage, or our performers end up out in the audience. So that fourth wall, the invisible wall on the edge of the stage, is just really non-existent.
Obliterated.
Yeah, totally. So that continues to be a big part of the programming that we offer, Theater Sports. We also do other shows on Saturday nights, again, at 7:30 and 10 o'clock. And those tend to rotate a bit more. Every Saturday at 10 o'clock, we do a show called Chimprov, where we take troops from within our ensemble of about 50 people and break them down into smaller troops. And they get to do whatever it is that excites them about improv. And you'll see 3 different acts in that show.
Nice.
On Saturdays at 7:30, we have a bit of a rotating programming slot where for 4 consecutive Saturdays within 1 month, you'll see the same show. And that changes drastically from month to month. So, for example, so far this year, we started with improvised David Lynch piece, improv in the style of like Twin Peaks or Blue Velvet. Then immediately following that, we did our improvised musical off book, the improvised musical, which is always a huge hit. Then we went straight into a show called Cage Match, which was another competitive improv show. But on that one, we invited some of the smaller improv companies from Edmonton to come play with us in our space, which was very fun to do. This past January, we did our improvised Star Trek show, The Red Shirt Diaries.
I wish, by the way, I managed to make it down for one of those episodes.
Oh, awesome!
And it was so much fun. It was great.
Cool. Glad to hear which one you were at.
I was at the first one with
Claire.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
She was amazing.
She was
I really
very funny. Yeah.
The ending was something else.
Yeah. So on that episode, in every episode, we had a special guest joining the regular cast. And on that first episode, we had Claire McConnell, who is a Calgary or Toronto-based improviser who just happens to star in Star Trek Discovery. So it was great to have her out playing with us. We had so much fun. And then next up in that programming slot in March, we've got a show called Sphinxes, which features all the femmes, as we call them, or the female, the women, the trans, non-binary performers in our ensemble, performing a show all about what femininity means to them and to the audience, which is an encore performance from doing the show last year as well. It was such a big hit. And then we're going to finish off the season with an improvised Wes Anderson show in May.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We also do a bunch of festivals. Like I mentioned, just this past week, we were doing the Nose Bowl, which is part of a larger festival called the Wildfire Festival that we do for teens, again, from all across the province. And that runs all month of February. And then at the end of our season in June is kind of the crown jewel in our season, and that's Improvaganza, which is our big international festival where we bring artists from all over the planet and bring them to Edmonton for 10 days of fantastic improv.
So now, if I were an improv watching virgin, what of your shows would you recommend me to cut my teeth on? Like, if we have listeners and viewers out there who are like, wow, this sounds like a lot of fun. I've never seen it before. What should I go and see? What would you recommend?
Well, I mean, as you can imagine from the list I just went through, there's kind of something for everyone. Not everyone is going to be into David Lynch. I think that's more of a niche appeal, and not everyone's going to be into musical theater either. But there's something for everyone there. I think probably the easiest way to like dip your toe in or get your foot in the door would be through theater sports, and that's again our Friday night show. And it's what we call short form improv. So in that show, you're going to see a bunch of different scenes, all of them about 2 to 5 minutes long. And it's just like a sampler platter of all kinds of different things. And maybe you'll see a musical scene. Maybe you'll see a sci-fi scene. Maybe you'll see, who knows? Who knows what you're going to see? But that's a nice way to just kind of see the full breadth in a bunch of little snippets. Then in the other shows, if there's something that really catches your fancy and you can really dig into it for the duration of a show, that's really exciting as well. And that's, I think, where you really get to see the masters at play when they're on stage for an hour or so, just going on improv. It's very cool.
Very neat. So now you mentioned Improvaganza, your big, huge international festival that you invite guests from all over the world to. As a troupe, does Rapid Fire get invited and travel with their improv to other parts of the world to work with other improvisers?
Yeah, absolutely we do. We tour quite often in all kinds of different scenarios. Like I said, we've got a bunch of different troupes within our larger ensemble. So you would never see the entire company of Rapid Fire Theater just like pick up and go perform somewhere like that. But a lot of our
you don't think you can get all 50 of you guys out to do an event somewhere?
No, I don't even think all 50 of us have done one show ever. So it's all kind of pieced up. So but yeah, certainly a lot of our troops will tour the world. This year see if I can remember. We've been all over the States, New Orleans, Philadelphia. We've been all over Canada. Nearby places like Calgary and Red Deer. We go to Vancouver quite often, Toronto quite often. We were even in Dubai this year as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So you guys go all over the place. What about doing like private events and all those other stuff? Like what do you guys do for those?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a branch of our company is like a corporate entertainment branch, I suppose. And where you can hire a group of, say, 2 to 4 or more improvisers to come out and entertain your event. So that's especially pretty popular around Christmas time, holiday party time. So staff parties, volunteer appreciation nights, birthday parties, you name it. We'll come out and we'll do a custom show for you and your friends or you and your company or what have you.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So that seems like quite a bit like that Rapid Fire does now. Is it hard for how much are you involved with all these different or various things?
Well, in one way or another, I'm involved in all of it, but a lot of it is kind of farmed out to staff. We have a staff of about 10 people who all kind of work with their different portfolios. So there is someone running, again, our corporate entertainment packages. There's someone running our public workshops, someone running our youth programming. So it gets parceled out to make it all manageable. And that way you get people who are passionate and skilled at all these different kind of areas of what it is that we do, really excelling. And every
That's awesome.
Pocket gets the attention that it needs.
Nice. So public workshops, I was just queuing up to ask if I come to a show and I see it and my mind is blown and it's amazing, like it usually is, and I'm like, this is so cool, I want to try it. Mm-hmm. How, is there, do you guys offer avenues for people to jump into the improv world and try their hand at it?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Yeah, for
let me pull out this sheet here.
They run all year, or most of the year round, from September to the end of June, which is our season. And there we offer workshops for all experience levels. So we have them kind of broken down into levels 1 through 4. And then there's a bunch of different branches that go off from there, and specialty things that pop up as well. But where level 1 is for people who have never done improv or experienced it ever before, and then they can work their way all the way up through the levels. Where at like level 4, we're working on kind of that meaty, epic, long form improv. So
Nice.
And we see people coming to take the workshops, especially at the level 1, from all walks of life, all ages, all you name it. And sometimes people are just looking for a fun date night. It's very fun. Some people are looking to boost their confidence or their social skills or their speaking skills, like public speaking skills. Some people do want to train improv skills, so they are there to become better improvisers and work their way up through those workshops. But a lot of people are just looking to have a little bit of fun, and that's fantastic too, because it is a lot of fun. So we have those workshops. We also once a month we offer jam, and that's totally free, and anybody can just drop by and try their hand at it and play with some strangers and see how it goes.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. So let me ask you, where can people like find all this kind of information?
Thank you for asking. You can find out all the information of Rapid Fire Theater at rapidfiretheater.com.
Nice. And now, do you guys have any other social media? Do you post pictures of said shenanigans on Instagram? Do you tweet at people on Twitter?
Yeah, we do. We've got a Twitter, which is at Theater Sports. We've got a Instagram, which is at Rapid Fire Theater, and on Facebook at /Rapid Fire Theater. And you can find all kinds of shenanigans there. There's been a few times where we've live streamed our shows via Facebook Live. There's been shows that use the social media in some way, or sometimes we're just posting or information about our artists or photos of the stuff that we're up to.
So now I want to ask like some nitty-gritty questions for people out there watching and listening who maybe are familiar with theater sports and have come to Rapid Fire and love it and love how funny it is. Cool. I guess for you personally, do you have a preference for long form over short form, or do you have, like, if we're talking theater sports, do you have any particular scenes or games that pop up that when they do, you're always like, oh, yes?
Oh, man. Those are great questions. I think I go back and forth between long form and short form. I would say most people do. Or most performers do. Certainly within our company. There are companies out there that will only do short form, or companies that will only do long form. And it changes very much, I think, geographically as well. Different areas of the world will kind of focus on these different elements of the art form. Theater sports, short form is very fun for me, but we also do it a whole lot too. So for us, I think it's important that we keep innovating the games that we're doing, and keep looking for ways to inspire ourselves, and that's how we keep it exciting for ourselves. And in turn, the show then is exciting for the audience, because if we're having fun, they're having fun. Long form is, I think it's you're putting more on the line. We typically do it with smaller ensembles than we do our short form with, so you're carrying more of the show on your back. But when you, and speaking personally, when we really knock a long form show out of the park, I find that far more satisfying than really crushing a short form show.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other question you asked?
Do you have, like, I know you say that because you do theater sports so often that,
right,
you know, trying to keep it fresh, because that is something that you come back to time and again. But do you have any old, like, standby games that just, like, always warm the cockles of your heart whenever they happen to come up? You're like, oh, yes, this game.
I'd say lately, some of my favorite games to play are games, like we mentioned earlier, that involve audience members, where we're literally bringing someone up on stage to participate.
Innocent lambs to the slaughter.
Not at all. Not at all. That's another pillar of improv positivity. We always want to make each other look as good as possible. So when we bring audience members on stage, it's our job to make them look as awesome as we can, or lambs to the slaughter. So yeah, I always love bringing folks up on stage because it's a bit of a wild card element, and it's exciting for us. We can get surprised by whatever happens on stage, and for the audience to see one of their own up on stage, I think is very exciting as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's kind of nice having Chelsea on this show because she's got that nice little theater background. I'm
a big theater nerd. I did my BA in drama at the U of A, and so I wasn't kidding when I call Rapid Fire an institution, because to like weird little drama nerds like me, it totally is.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very kind of you to say.
Anything else?
Let me see. Let me think. Now the workshops you mentioned all ages. So if nerds like myself grow up and think improv is awesome and happen to propagate little nerds, can we indoctrinate them young?
Yeah, little nerds. Yeah. Absolutely. I've got a little nerd of my own, and we have a program called the Kid Provisors, where it's very exciting, where we take kids, and it's a workshop program. So I think we start them as young as, I'm going to say 6, maybe a little older. But we teach them the skills of improv, and it's so cool to teach really young kids improv because they haven't quite built up those kind of social barriers that we all kind of throw onto ourselves, when we're teenagers. And so to get them collaborating and thinking positively and supporting each other at that early age, it's so rewarding, and kids really do say the darndest things too. So you're constantly being surprised by what they're saying.
Well, and it's the whole other flip. It's the whole other flip side.
Sorry.
I think Matt's cutting it out a little bit. Sorry, what were you saying, Chelsea?
Oh, well, that's so awesome, and yeah, going back to the whole other flip side of like those unintended social skills that you're also building of the qualities of being able to listen and collaborate. Starting that so young is so great. In my other job, I work with kids. I'm a special education assistant for the Vancouver School Board. And so
awesome.
I love any opportunity, to get those, soft social skills that can oftentimes be so overlooked, but are yet so important. Anytime that those can be brought to the forefront always makes me so excited. So
yeah, and it's a really fun way of doing it too. So with that program, we have the workshop element of it, and then once a month the kids also get to perform in a show for families. Which is one of the cutest things you'll ever see. So we love doing that. But because we are at the Citadel Theater too, there's a theater school there, the Foot Theater School, that has a lot of programming for teenagers. So kind of in between the window of our adult workshops and the kid.
Nice.
Several of our work with the Foot Theater School to teach an improv curriculum there as well.
Very
cool. One more before we kind of switch gears here a little bit. You guys are in the process of funding or looking for funding for a new building. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we moved to the Citadel Theater, it was initially going to Barcelona with being rebuilt. But our programming just grew so rapidly in those years while it was being rebuilt that there was no way we could share a space. We would have to downsize our programming considerably. So we began the hunt for a theater of our own. The Citadel is great, but the movie theater that we're in isn't necessarily the best space for improv. It's a very deep room, and on the shows where we sell out, the people in the back row are so far from the stage, and they kind of lose that intimacy. So we are looking for a theater that we can design and program ourselves and offer all the programming that we've discussed through there. And we have a fantastic project that we are affiliated with called the Artist Quarters. It's going to be a project just a few blocks from the Citadel Theater in downtown Edmonton. And what it is it's a project with a bunch of groups coming together under the banner of Arts Habitat, which is an organization with a mandate for providing spaces for professional artists. They've worked on a few projects in the city of Edmonton already. And what this project is it's a mixed live-work project in the quarters. So on 96th Street and 102nd A Avenue. What it'll be is a 4-story, what we're calling a podium, that will house professional art space for several different organizations. And then on top of that, a artist to buy into like a kind of a co-op situation to live and to invest in there as well. So our theater would be one of the main kind of space, as well as workshop space and office space and all the other things that we need to operate. And cool. One of our other major partners in the
all right. Cool. So Matt's mic is cutting out a little bit more, but we're going to switch gears here. Thanks, Matt, so much for all that information. We'll get back to you just before we end this episode with all the various places people can find you once more. But we're going to take a nice quick little break one more time, and we'll get back to this. Okay, so like I said, the Northern Nerd Network is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATV. And if you go on over to albertapodcastnetwork.com, you'll find a list of just the most amazing Alberta-made podcasts. And not only that, if you guys go on to the CKUA app, we are on there as well. So there are so many various ways for you guys to find all these wonderful podcasts from the from the Alberta Podcast Network. It's just awesome. So go on over to the CKUA, just in your app store, and download that app. Then you guys can find us on there as well. Along with like the Fourth Line podcast or Bollywood is for Lovers, the Broadcast, the Branded World, the Expat podcast. I mean, the list it goes on and on and on. So go on over to albertapodcastnetwork.com for all those amazing podcasts and on that CKUA app.
All right, Dan. Event time. Hit us up with the newly updated event calendar of where people can get their geek on.
Oh, yes. Like I said, we have so many events that I have put up on the calendar. And like I said, there's still more to come. And if you guys want to add more to that calendar, please hit us up on you can email us by emailing us at northernnerdnetwork@gmail.com or going to our website. And we have just a form you guys can fill out with your event in there as well. And we would love to have your event featured on our calendar. But first off, let's talk a little bit about Board and Brew Paint Night that's happening on February 16th. This is a stormtrooper. Those paint nights have been super popular over the last little while. So it's great to see a little bit of nerdy and geeky kind of paint night involved here. So Stormtrooper, you guys get to paint a Stormtrooper, and it's at Board and Brew. Beyond Board. Sorry. Yes. So go and check that out. And on February 14th, the Metro Cinema is hosting a Valentine's Day quote along, The Princess Bride. I had to put that one in there because I mean it's the Princess Bride, right? And I figured, what's the best way to celebrate Valentine's Day by going on over there and checking that out. February 17th, over at Happy Harbor Comics, they have a play testing of Kaiju Conquest. This is a board game that someone is making here in Edmonton, and they need some play testers to go and check this game out. So go on over there. It's happening between 11 o'clock and 5, so all day. And yeah, go and check that out. It's happening. It's Saturday, so just mosey on down. Happy Harbor Comics is awesome. Anyways, go buy some comics and go check out a cool board game. Moving along, on February 18th, we have a meet and greet with the 501st happening at Just Because. This is in Sherwood Park. This is the cosplay store here there in Sherwood Park. And it is a good way for you to, if you want to know or meet the 501st, see what it takes to get into there, all that kind of fun stuff. This is a great way to go and do that. Moving along, we got the Edmonton Podcast Meetup. This is happening. I'll definitely be there. This is happening on Sunday, February 25th from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock at Variant Edition Comics and Culture. And this is a chance for all the podcasts in Alberta or Edmonton, at least the Edmonton area, to come by and we all kind of gather. We listen to various ways we can improve our podcast or just get together essentially. And they usually do a podcast there. So the podcast meetup is a podcast. That's how that works.
Nice.
That's how it works. It's awesome. It's a great time. Yes.
Yeah.
It's podcast and a podcast and a podcast. It just keeps going, right? Every Monday night, we have a drop-in pen and paper night, RPG night at the Gamers Lodge. So if you're into RPG gaming, this is a good way to get involved in that. It's just drop in, so you don't even have to come with somebody. It's a good way to meet people.
Speaking of improv, RPGs are a great way to practice your improv.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm a big sucker for RPGs, and yeah, this is a good one. Go check out the Gamers Lodge for that. On February 21st, we have Edmonton Story Slam happening at the Mercury Room. Basically, all this is a 5-minute. You get a 5-minute chance to tell a story. It could be any kind of story, fiction, nonfiction, doesn't matter. And then everyone kind of votes at the end of the show. It's pretty awesome. And someone wins. I think they win the cover. I think that's how it is. It's pretty cool. It's a really neat way to check out some of the creative people in Edmonton and go and hang out for a bit. It's a great time. Moving along, we got the Alberta Girls Engineering and Technology Summit. There's a lot of various speakers and various things that are happening during that just sort of weekend, February 23rd to 25th. So if you're a female or a girl, either way, I don't know. You want to get involved
female
in
identifying individuals out there, trans, non-binary, anybody female identifying, head
Perfect.
on out if you're interested in STEM.
Yeah, exactly. And this will get you, if you're interested in the technological careers that Edmonton may have to offer, that would be a good chance.
Who are some of the big name companies that are going to be there, Dan?
Well, BioWare would be one of them. Donato, I believe, is the other one. Jobber.
Nice.
So there's a few lists in there. It's kind of like all over the place, and they have various things. If you go on Facebook, they have a thing on our website as well. On our event calendar, we do have a link to all that kind of fun stuff, and they'll tell you a little bit about it. March 4th, we have the March 2018 Collector Con, and that is happening at, I don't have the actual place, the Italian Cultural Center. And so if you're looking for that collectible, this is a good chance to go and do it. We got on March 11th as well, we have the TEDx University of Alberta 2018 conference. And this is happening at the ATB Financial Arts Barn. If you ever heard of TED Talks and all that kind of fun stuff, that's pretty much what this is. It's a good chance to go and check out some amazing speakers, talk about some technology, entertainment, and design.
Really cool stuff.
That's what TED stands for. Just moving along, we got March 30th. I know we're stretching into March now. But that's getting closer. We got the Video Games Live happening in Edmonton. I got to make sure that we mention that one. This is happening at the Northern Alberta Jubilee Auditorium. Good chance to hear some your favorite video game music. And then I want to make sure that we also mention that down in April, we have the Calgary Expo happening. And this is happening the 26th to 29th. Some big names happening. Pretty much the entire cast of Back to the Future is going to be there.
Woohoo!
We got Michael J. Fox, Leah Thompson, Christopher Lloyd, Tom Wilson. So I mean, they're all there, all the big ones. Sorry, what? Yeah. I'm super excited. I think there's other names like Jason Momoa and Lou Ferrigno. I mean, it's going to be a good year for the Calgary Expo. Yeah. Also, way down in May. The only reason why I'm mentioning this is that registration is open, and it's Intrigue Con. It's their mini con that they're having on May the 4th and 5th. It's Star Wars themed.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, and so if you want to get in on that, I know there's only a few spots available, so you want to get in there. It's a good RPG convention here in Edmonton. It's just a mini con, but it's still pretty good. So go and check that out. And that is all the events that I have for everybody out there. I know. That was quite a bit. Like I said, go check out our website, northernnerdnetwork.com, for all those amazing events. Matt, is there anything that people should look out for in Rapid Fire Theater Land?
Coming up soon?
Yes.
Absolutely. Actually, there's two things. One is on March 3rd, we are having a very cool event. It's called Date Night. That's at 7:30 on March 3rd. What it is, it's our annual fundraiser for Improvaganza, the big festival we mentioned earlier. But it's a really unique fundraiser in where we do a silent auction. The things up for bidding, especially in the live auction, are date packages. And they are unique packages that you probably can't get in a store. You probably can't get them anywhere else. And like we take things and we pair them up together into bundles. I'll give you an examples in just a second. But here's the catch. On every one of those date packages, we pair one of the improvisers or one or two of the improvisers from our ensemble with that date package. So if you are the successful bidder on one of those packages, you can take that improviser on a date. Or if that's weird to you, you can just leave the improviser at home and take your own friends, because maybe that's more fun for you.
No, man.
But
Really like human library. You get to check out somebody cool and do something fun.
exactly. But some of the stuff we've got up for auction, a life painting portrait. There's a ride in a race car on a racetrack. There's coffee with the mayor. There's a tour of the BioWare studios with Mark Meer. Yeah, all kinds of cool stuff, and all of that will be up for auction on March 3rd.
Very nice. I didn't really mention this earlier, but you guys, like Don Iveson does actually support you guys quite a bit.
We've done a few partnerships with him. He actually cameoed on the Red Shirt Diaries last month, which was very fun. And last year we partnered with him on an event called Mean Tweets, where the kind of Rapid Fire Theater and his office partnered to do this fundraiser for the United Way. Where it was kind of the late night talk show bit where he would read some of the meaner tweets that he has received in his days in office, and we would do improv based on those mean tweets, and it made for a very fun night. And we're hoping to do it again very soon.
Awesome. That sounds really good.
You mentioned there were 2 events coming up. What is the second event that you want?
Yeah, the other one we got coming up in April. It'll be 2 weekends in April. It's called the Bonfire Festival. It's a kind of mini in-house festival we run. And that's where you get kind of a behind-the-scenes look at kind of like the laboratory of Rapid Fire Theater. It's where we try out new stuff. Everything you'll see in that festival is a new concept that we've made and we've never tried before. Some of them are going to be absolutely ridiculous and absurd and should never be repeated. And some of them will be mind-blowing. Some of them will fail. And some of them will continue on to become very popular shows, as we've seen with previous iterations of the festival. But all of them will be a joy to witness either way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on our show today.
Thank you for having me.
Where can all these lovely people find all of that excellent information?
Well, thank you for asking. They can find it all out at rapidfiretheater.com.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, that is all the time we have for this edition of the Nerdcast. I want to thank everybody out there for watching and or listening to this edition, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Northern Nerdcast. Northern Nerdcast is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. Check out their website at albertapodcastnetwork.com. For all things geeky and nerdy, including all of our social media platforms, go to northernnerdnetwork.com. Thanks again, and we appreciate your support.